Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Live from Studio 2. And today's musical performers are Honeypaw. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves because I will fumble over your names. I know it. Sure as God made little green apples.
Do you want to try?
No. Matti.
My name is Matti.
My name is Jurgita.
Oh, you're just going to do first names? I wanted like the whole
okay,
name.
Whole thing, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Matti Palonen.
And my name is Jurgita Zvinklyte.
Okay. And you're Lithuanian Finnish, and you're playing a type of music that's indigenous. And what is it called?
The tradition that we were just playing?
Yeah.
So you can talk about it.
So we play, as overall as Honeypaw, we're playing Finnish folk and Lithuanian folk music, trying to dig very old archival materials. And just what you just heard is a very, very old tradition from northeast of Lithuania called sutartinė.
Okay.
It's hard to translate it. It's means to get along, to be in tune. And it's kind of type of polyphony. Technically, we should call it interferential diaphony.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's all about two voices. You can't sing this by yourself.
Okay.
It's always two and two people. Sometimes it's played by two people, 3, 4. But no matter how many includes people, always the voices overlap only 2.
Okay.
Most of them, they all sing in different keys, different rhythms, different. It's kind of has this kind of syncopation in it and different lyrics.
Okay.
And even vocal timbres.
And folk timbre. So it's kind of, it's like giving this and and it's like very mathematical kind of overlapping. You cannot really get out of it. You have to be in the rhythm.
Yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, not gonna. Sutartinės means to clash, to have, and then they always into this kind of different tuning, not Western tuning. It's kind of sutartinė tuning where, because you can maximize roughness, it's called, if we, Westerners call it like dissonance.
Yeah.
But in that tradition, it's actually the most beautiful sound.
I was
And
just saying,
technically,
it's almost the opposite,
the
right?
opposite is one of the most desirable
Yeah.
sound because it creates the vibration between two voices, because two voices sing to each other to feel that vibration. The more vibration, the more it's like says, oh, we got along. And because it reminds me of like a clash of the cranes,
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
bird. It sort of
Okay.
comes from bird sounds, from even like the way bell rings, that the sense of it. So, and then it's never even, I'm saying song because everyone understands song, but traditional singers don't call it song.
Okay,
They have very
okay.
clear distinction between songs we sang and sutartinė, which is like a hymn.
Okay, is there a relationship with this and Inuit throat singing? Because it sounds that
When you
that,
describe like systematically, it sounds like that, but outcome is very, very different.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
heard it. You just heard
Yeah.
it's like very different. But yes, it's like in a sense like two voices, like often like one start, other repeats the same. So you have like very different structures. But we don't use the throat itself.
Okay. Yeah, but the resonance of two voices.
Yeah. It's and then have like I don't know if we call it very improvised. It could be improvised, but it's like one is the collector of the story, and another is like refrain. So you have like even a system, like and then
Okay.
then sutartinė is not only singing. It's like you hear the skudučiai, which is like a type of pine pipes. It's part of tradition, like playing the wind instruments who creates the same sounds, singing and dancing while singing. So this has, it's definitely, when I did the research, there's a big book about sutartinė, which is recently translated to English, of this tradition. And they do mention Inuit stringing as like across the globe where it's the most closest tradition to it.
Well, Canada's a Nordic country as well.
Yeah, it's a Nordic. But then apparently based on that research, actually the most systematic closest tradition will be indigenous people to Japan, Ainu, because they have as well like a group of women singing in a circle, sharing the voices, have this kind of overlapping as well, like this dissonant kind of.
Yes.
So there's like, but it's just none of them is genetically connected. It's more the proof that how old this tradition is.
Yeah.
It's come from very, very old. And it's proof around the indigenous people around, they have the same mindset,
Okay.
similar mindset. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
because it's hard to tell how old, because
Yes,
it's all
yes.
collected in the 20th century beginning. For a long time, Lithuania was not even allowed to collect, where like Finland or other neighbor countries were being collected in the 8th and 19th century.
Yeah.
How folk, because of Russian
Yeah.
Empire, was not being collected, and
Right.
it's like a scraps we finally found in this kind of little island on the northeast of Lithuania. Latvians don't have nobody around, just there. Like it's,
Okay.
and this whole story because this Finnish folklorist from Finland came to do some comparative studies, and he was very excited about this tradition because it's like the primitive lyrics and primitive, like it shows like very, very old part of the folk, and this is where allegedly archaeology showed that a couple thousand years ago Finnic people in Baltic were like very close,
Okay.
and could be some shared things, and this is why he tried to dig some connections in between, and this is how we, like whole story how it came in Canada 5 years ago as like just people.
Okay.
1 year I met Matti, and then we're sharing our what we love. He loves Finnish folk. He tried to understand himself through learning the Finnish tradition, and I love my kind of folk music, and it helps me to be alive when I'm away from my home country. It kind of keeps it.
Well, your instrumentation
Yeah.
is ancient.
Yes.
You're playing a 3-stringed instrument that, like a violin or a cello, has a hollow in the middle, right? It's for the resonance, isn't it?
Yeah, this is for resonance.
Okay, and this is called a what? What's this called?
Jouhiko. Jouhiko is jouhi in Finnish language means horsehair, because it's traditionally strung with the horsehair,
Okay.
and bow is horsehair. My instrument specifically is with the fishing wire, just because it keeps better tuning.
Okay.
Because the horsehair is so sensitive to environment, it's trying to tune a lot. Yeah, and it's like it looks like lyre, but it's bowed.
Yeah. Okay.
So it
Okay.
probably came up from the lyre family, and then it's just when the bow
Yeah,
came to
yeah.
Europe, they started to bow it.
Yeah. And Maddie's playing something that everybody who has walked by this room has seen this one. Oh, a zither, but it's not a zither. It's shaped like a zither.
Well, a zither is kind of like the super family, but
Okay.
So
Is
this
this a distant relative, second cousin, or something?
well, it's just a when you go down the finer designations.
Okay,
So
okay.
the instrument itself is called kantele, but as we say, it's the family is Baltic psaltery, and psalteries are kind of a type of psaltery is specifically the plucked zither family.
Okay.
So 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, this started out as just a 5-stringed instrument, and who knows what it was strung with? Possibly horsehair, possibly
Gut.
copper or
Cat gut or something.
yeah, exactly. And then in the sort of as sort of violins and accordions came into Finland, then the instrument grew from 5 strings to sort of by the 19th century kind of 12 and then even 24 strings, and then 100 years ago in the 1920s they invented this larger version, this 36-string concert kantele. And interestingly enough, of course, I've been playing Finnish music for 15 years, and like I had this instrument lying around, and I said, "Oh, it's not a real folk instrument. I'm never gonna play it." But then during the pandemic, when we were really like just kind of live streaming into the void,
That's right.
then we said, "Oh, okay. Well, we actually need the bass notes. We need the separation of like the octaves and kind of
Yeah.
so what
Because I started with this smaller. He taught me the kantele,
Okay.
and I got this Lithuanian Kankles, traditional Kankles, which is as well the family of the Baltic psalteries.
Uh-huh.
This is another connection between Finnish and Lithuanian, and it's kind of had range of 12 string, so it's how to not play the same notes. So this instrument become like he goes even higher and the lower, and I'm somewhere in between.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, let's hear these 2 instruments in concert.
Ylitse meren 9 merta puolikymmenettä. Tuosimoasi visäsi kannamettä kielessäsi. 9 loitsijilta, 8 katsojilta.
Very nice. We're talking with Honeypaw, who are Finnish Lithuanian. This is traditional music, but
Oh.
are you adding anything to it or taking anything away from it, or is this pure
Yes.
authentic traditional music, or you're not putting a modern kind of spin on it? or
Well,
not?
we are certainly putting modern like kind of bass lines, and actually when we play live, we even hook up to some kind of guitar pedals so we can have an extra kind of layer of atmospheric reverb and stuff like that. But the melodies and the text are all pretty much archival.
So what we heard was like you heard like Lithuanian and Finnish mixed together.
Yeah, so this is an arrangement of
Okay,
two
okay,
different
yeah.
things.
So the first one is from Lithuania, a B, I think traditionally sang more like a Christmas period, even there's nothing Christmassy sing about. It's like a B, you little one, where you been, where you were flying around, and the B responds like, oh, it's around like green forest and high hollow trees, because traditionally bees were lived in the hollow trees
Yeah.
up there, and then and yeah, like bringing honey, because a fun fact where this Sotertina, not Sotertina, the song was collected, actually is still surviving tradition of beekeeping in the hollow. You make a
Okay,
like hole in a
okay.
very
So
tall
hang
tree.
on a second. Is this where your name comes from?
My name?
No,
No,
Honeypaw.
actually no, but
No.
Okay.
No, it's another story. Yeah. Yes, the bears used to climb the.
Okay,
The,
okay.
and there's whole like they have this how to like, yeah, like old
ways of keeping out the bears from the beehives.
you guys, and then the Finnish story. What is Finnish story?
So the name of Honeypaw comes from this ancient belief that it was bad luck to say when you're talking about the bear, which was of course important when you're talking about like hunting and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
You don't actually say the word for the bear, because then the bear is going to come and
Okay.
come into your village
Okay.
or whatever. So instead you give it, whenever you're talking about the bear, you give it some kind of pet name, and Honeypaw is one of those kind of pet names, as obviously because the bear would
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's kind of- Yeah.
Well, now Winnie the Pooh makes a lot more sense. to me.
yeah.
And what we sang, we just sang it, or what we're gonna sing today is all collected by that Finnish folklorist Augusto Robert-Niemi, who came to Lithuania 100 years ago to collect to do some comparative studies, but didn't find enough material, so went to collect.
Okay.
And this year I got some grant from Lithuania to do this research on back cylinders. He made it
Okay.
in 1912, and we found those materials when we went to Finland in 2023 spring.
Okay.
And we got those unpublished back cylinders. Wasn't really known in Lithuania, but I read about that it's supposed to be, and it was very exciting. It's like over 300 back cylinder songs were
Wow.
recorded, and we just learned to listen all the summer. Those little bits of the songs were collected, and one of the earliest recordings in Lithuania, by the way.
In
so
fact, the earliest recordings
earliest
of that Suttatina tradition which we
tradition.
played.
Maybe one guy was recorded a year ago before him, but it's literally the very first ones. And and that songs you hear is from.
Okay, because that was a question I had. Is where do you get your source material? I mean, it's like a lot of other traditions, particularly European traditions, collect. And it's there, it's written down and stuff. But as you said, Lithuania has always been sort of like this
They collected.
bastard child of Europe.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
they collected till like 21st century. They keep collecting. So
Okay.
there's through all the since basically started from 20s, they end up collecting a lot. But I'm saying very early. We don't have very early ones
Okay.
enough. And
It was actually lucky that this Niemi guy was able to go and do some of the earlier collections, and then when people kind of Lithuanians saw that some foreigner was actually interested and legitimized basically the traditions, then they started really ramping up their own collection when they were allowed to.
Okay.
Well, it's specifically we talk about like now we heard the song. Before first tune was Sutartina, which is like this hard thing, and it was still controversial. Kind of not everybody likes that. Like it's very rough to hear it. So, but I really love. So either you love it or hate it, and we was like really love it.
You love it, okay.
So yeah, and what we do, we like find some connections between Finnish, Lithuanian. This one, like the story will be, which is connects as well.
Yeah.
So kind of, I like to find combination, connect them, and
Okay.
make like the extend the story. Like
Mhm,
Lithuanian is
mhm.
usually more primitive and like simpler. Finnish very more epic,
Okay.
and it's kind of like to kind of build this kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, and Niemi never really finished exactly his project, but he did get it to. He wrote a book, a fairly large book
Not-
about.
He didn't wrote any book.
Okay,
Just lots of.
Am I gonna have to break you two up?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a book, but it was collected of his writings.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
He wanted intent to do collaborative stories, but he just did some articles.
yeah.
And then this Lithuanian guy, 30 years ago, just translated to Lithuania and compiled in one book his research, and that's the one I read.
Okay.
So that's he
Okay.
feels like.
So,
but anyway.
in what context, in village life, what context would this music be in? Like, was it for a specific?
There's-
Yeah.
Was it for? Was
Yeah,
there
a lot of,
purpose
like
for it?
Calendar
yeah.
rituals, work songs, all those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So work songs.
Well, you need to do flux. So there's a certain thing that
Yes.
was like many long. It's just kind of go through the every job you need to do to do
Okay,
it, and so it's like
okay.
called collected. And then others has like ritual, like certain songs that only when it's sang only during rye cutting period.
Okay.
There's a lot of
And
like
visiting fields, like
Okay.
so they have even melody. Like it's or some of them could be just for yourself, for your soul. Just
Well,
a
it
fun.
seems that there's so much mythology attached to these songs.
Yeah.
Um,
and symbolism, some symbolism that's even like lost to us. So like we're just, like there is only really speculation as to like that first song with the Suduno Upe, like what is that really referring
yeah.
to?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tertina has lots of refrains with mythological magic words.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's hear some more, shall we?
Some
Yeah.
more?
Yeah. Let's hear some more. I'm in love with this. I'm enjoying this so much. Wonderful. What was that?
So this was two different cow calling songs. Jurgita was singing one from
Cow calling.
cow calling, yeah.
Okay.
One from
This is how you would know that in Lithuanian someone's calling cows. You say rado.
Okay.
Rado.
and then so we were just basically like overlapping. So the I was singing a Finnish version where you're just basically inviting the cattle to go into the. Interestingly enough, they sent their cattle into the woods in the summer. So.
Oh, really? Really?
And Lithuania is more, so they're using ralo, then you know that's a cow calling song. But then the woman who sings it complains about.
Well,
I
who
was-
wouldn't, frankly? I mean,
Yes,
think
like,
about it. Who
she's
wouldn't?
saying, I was shepherding all by myself. Nobody helped me. My sister didn't make it. She was like weeding the flowers garden. She was making a flower wreath and then put in her head and went to the church. So I made a whole story about this complaint story in my head about like all I had to do all
Wonderful,
by myself.
wonderful.
So it's like become like a kind of little lament,
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
sorrow song.
So there's such a similarity between, as you were pointing out, Lithuanian mythologies and stories and songs and Finnish songs and stuff. Do the two of you look for similarities, or do you look to kind of contrast things?
Yeah, so we were inspired by that the collection of Niemi's research, where he was kind of alluding to certain things, like he would collect something in Lithuania and say, "Oh yes, this reminds me of something in Karelia or whatever." But it's, as I was saying, he didn't quite get to finish his work, so we're kind of doing an artistic representation of what every time we see.
Well, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. Lithuanian and Finnish very different languages. Finnish it's not even Indo-European. It's like Finno-Ugric, like Finnic, Baltic Finnic, and Lithuanian is Baltic, and it belongs to bigger Indo-European language family. So it's like very not even belong to the same family. And but yeah, I believe that 1,000 years ago, when their tribes were closer to each other, there was some kind of exchange, and there's some borrowing words in Finnish language.
This is probably when the kantele kind of spread as well.
And the kantele, the instrument as well, spread, and probably he believed that the researcher that because there is some borrowed words, and maybe there is some borrowed songs, like stories and stuff like that. There is, but then again, you keep in mind, like some of the things are very, how to say, across the same regional people have, like could come up the same things as well. So it's like we don't want to claim exactly. It's just we like that idea itself.
Well, like I said, the Inuit music, like we're Nordic countries, and there seems to be a thing of people from the north. Our literature is often the same, and we have the music that's the same in many respects.
Like a similar condition can create similar.
Yeah. I mean, it's cold
outcomes.
and it's dark.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a lot of happy polka music necessarily.
Well, we have polka.
came eventually.
But yeah, like how to say, like Finnish music is like mainly minor. Anyway.
Minor, but happy minor.
Happy minor.
So
the minor keys are to be sad. That's what they're there for.
So the first thing, when we very first started singing together, the very first thing that we noticed was that there was this very specific imagery of like clearing fields for agriculture or whatever, but making sure to leave one tree standing for the cuckoo's perch. And so we're like, okay, well that's way too specific to be just kind of a coincidence. So that's kind of that's what led us down this path into finding Niemi's work.
I mean, so do you like I said, do you look for similarities, like
yes and no. Yes, we do. We try to as much as possible, but at this moment, at this project, we literally now we're going through footsteps of the researcher. So we trying to understand the whole context where he was, what he done, what he collected.
So this is the intent of the project right now.
It's intent, and it's probably intent for years to come.
Okay.
It's like eventually dig and keep going, but it's like I feel like it's good to have this understanding, the context and to collect, understand, learn more. Like some of the songs has no connection, but could be. So it's kind of it's just trying to learn. So this is the whole new repertoire we made it now is basically from what he collected, what he recorded, because he had to choose some songs. So it's kind of interesting in that sense.
And it was very important for us to then go to the original villages where he collected, and we kind of met people there, met folklorists there, and
need to bring those songs back to it. So that's imagine we bring it's like whole journey. Some Finnish guy collected, brought back to Finland, and then we went to Finland, and we back to Canada, learned Canada, brought to Lithuania, and then we bring it back to Canada. So and we have a show in December 7th.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit because I want to know what your live show is. Like what context is. How does it? What does it look like? What is the form of it? I had a question, then I lost it. I got it. It came back. Where did you learn these instruments? Who taught you how to play these fairly ancient instruments?
Matti taught me.
Matti taught you how to play this?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I've been playing Finnish music for about 15 years, and I joined 15 years ago Toronton Pellimani, the Toronto kind of dance band, and then we played at festivals, and I discovered the kantele through that, and then really started to learn it. I basically learned mostly by busking on the TTC, but I also have learned from Finnish masters that have come over, or I've gone to Finland as well. The Johikko is a kind of a different story where it was like, maybe you can tell the story of this instrument.
And this is so old. Like this instrument, what's it called again?
Johikko.
And it is really ancient,
it's
right?
1,000 years old.
It's about 1,000 years. Like sort of any bowed instrument, like the concept of bowed instruments kind of spread across Europe 1,000 years ago.
So this one is a museum copy made by a Finnish guy called Rauno Nieminen, who literally brought from dead museums. He started, I think, in 70s to do that work because it was lost tradition as well. Nobody knew how to play it, so he brought it up and he worked for many, many years. And this specific instrument was actually built by him and brought specifically for this state projection of Lord of the Rings. In Canada. I don't know how many, 20 years ago.
It was
And he made several instruments, and they kind of stick around here, end up with this museum.
Yeah, so there was a musician named
Donald
Kwan, and he was a famous kind of jazz musician and composer, but then he had a stroke, and so he opened this museum in downtown Toronto just kind of as something to do to get over his stroke, basically.
Where is that?
That was at 401 Richmond.
Okay.
And so this instrument had been kind of just sitting there for 10 years, didn't even have a proper bridge on it. It was unplayable. And then I was kind of the first person to walk in there and say, hey, I know what this instrument is. And then so I got that from him. And kind of.
You have like 3 of them now.
Yeah.
From him.
So it's pretty much you named it, you can have it, right?
Well,
if you figured out what it was, it's yours.
Technically,
I bought I bought a couple of them off him. Yeah.
A couple of them, and then you got one.
It's a wonderful sound. Like it has that drone effect on the bottom.
Yeah.
Apparently, for the state production was like Voice of the Hobbits.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it's funny because they hired violin players to play it, but it's so different from the violin. You kind of have to unlearn everything you know about the violin in order to even start playing it, because the bow is completely different, the hand position is completely different.
Yeah. It's only 3 strings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it traditionally 3 strings?
So in Finland and Karelia, it's traditionally 3 strings, but then there's also a tradition in Sweden and Estonia where they have 4 strings. But it's kind of the same idea where you have like the two drone strings and at least 1 melody string then.
Yeah. I love the interplay between the 2 instruments. It's just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear something else. Let's hear more interplay between the 2 instruments, shall we?
Okay.
very nice. Does that have a title? Like, do these things have titles, or are they just so folkloric that they're just snippets?
The title is just the first line of the song.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
It's hay cutting songs.
Okay.
So first is Tartina, that diaphony you mentioned.
Although we were playing it in, it had been converted to Western tuning.
Western tuning, and then from same region, but the hay cutting. Again, the little vocabulary learning. If you hear the word voloi, that's mean people in Lithuania cutting hay.
Okay. Here's what I noticed, though. Other work songs from other places in the world seem to have the rhythm of the work. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was a hay cutting song, but is it rhythmic? Is it emblematic of that kind of sweeping motion? Yeah. Okay.
And another big difference between that and this music and the regions around it is that like the surrounding regions are kind of often very mountainous, and so you have a different singing timbre, and so this is very like a darker timbre of singing, and so there's.
So I wonder if there's a connection between the resonance of these instruments and the echo from a mountain thing. I just wonder.
I mean that's the theory of. I mean I don't know too much about it, but that's what people in Toronto kind of talk about the mountain songs and yeah, because I mean if you're calling across a mountain.
Yeah.
We don't have mountains.
Yeah.
So
but when we were in
forest.
when we were in Finland last year, we went to this national park with one university instructor, and she was saying that they've been doing sound like measurements of sound of like this one valley where you call across, and then there's this particular echo that comes across that they're starting to think affects the music in that way.
Well, I think music has to come out of that. It has to come out of like lived lives.
And the landscape too.
Yeah. Well, that's all a part of your experience, right? If you're living in a mountain region, it's different than living in a forested region. So your music's going to be different. But the fact that you're Nordic is all it's going to have a commonality to it. So have any of these pieces on your albums? You have 3 CDs, right? Are they readily available?
We have in Bandcamp, like digital. We recorded our own. So the first one was recorded in 3 harps, all in forest.
Wow.
So Matti, if you didn't mention when he was interested in kantele, there was no way to get any kantele, so he built himself the kantele.
Not this one, but
not this one, smaller one. And to figure out that, he played with the dead hollow trees for the string tension, and this way he built this kind of so-called tree harp thing.
Okay.
And in pandemic, we went to this forest and found like lots of dead hollow stumps, and sang Lithuanian Sutartinė songs, chants, and played with those.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can literally if you know how to play this, we can just adapt to the tree harp, and we just play those.
Yeah. And then like a lot of musicians, like when the pandemic came along, then we just like suddenly had to learn a lot more kind of tech stuff, a lot more recording technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
our first was very conceptually on tree harps, so you can get that. It's in Bandcamp.
Okay.
It's all digital. So all what you hear, all the instrumentally was all in the forest in Masaga, kind of mainly that.
Yeah, and then so these songs that we're doing this year are actually like the first 3 albums were kind of like very much like we collected repertoire, we recorded it, and then toured it in Europe. But then this is nice to kind of have these songs that we're working on all year, and then our maybe next year's plan is to record these.
After this, we will live with them long enough, so we're gonna put an album. It's upcoming year.
Every time we play them, we come up with better like kind of arrangement ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you said that your concerts. You augment it with other things.
We we take.
So I'm assuming there's no light show or smoke bombs or
no
anything
light
like
show. No, not yet. No.
Not yet.
But
we like to grow naturally into things.
But there will be some kind of like modern soundscapes, and we like to kind of it's a funny thing about some of these field collections where it's written down in a Western notation, which loses a lot of it, and then so when that's all you have, sometimes you just say, well, we're going to take this seriously. The time signature is like 15/8, so we're just going to go with that and run with it. And even if that's not necessarily how that was, it's just how it was written down, not necessarily how it was traditionally sang. And so there's a lot of rhythms. But
well, see, I've often wondered about that, about song catchers, Alan Lomax, and people of that ilk, A.P. Carter. What is lost between their transcriptions and the actual original material?
Exactly, especially when it comes to the sutatines, where it's like you have the whole point is to get that area in between dissonance and harmony, which is called roughness, but you can't write that in Western notation. So it's that. I mean, the entire performance point of it is lost.
Yeah. So you have a performance coming up December 7th. Am I correct?
Yes.
Where and?
At Small World Music Center.
Which is?
It's on Shaw between.
It's in the Artscape building.
Right.
It's a wonderful venue, and it's 8:00 in the evening, Saturday.
Tickets at the door, or?
Tickets you can buy online at Small World Music Center.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Eventbrite.
And Eventbrite you can find at the door too.
Okay.
Whatever it works.
So who shows up at your concerts?
Yeah, so it was actually really nice in Lithuania, a lot of the village locals would show
all
up.
Vegas for sure coming.
Okay.
I found when we did this residency in Transact, they came usually some nerds who like nerdy music.
Yeah. But we've also played at the music gallery where people are kind of expecting something very
arty.
Yeah, usually those who really like to beyond conventional.
Yeah,
music,
but
for
to
sure.
be honest, our
researchers, folklorists, those
Okay,
they find it interesting. For sure.
the best fans that we've got are from. We played actually a bunch of medieval Renaissance fairs this year, and so
we have the
people that are interested in the fantasy music or whatever.
That's the younger generation.
Okay.
Who like to dress up as fairies. They love that.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're both so knowledgeable about this music and about the region and about the culture, but you're not musicologists.
Nope.
You're trained as a
visual artist. So
visual
I have
artist.
ceramic degree and sculpture. So in sculpture, we didn't learn sculpture. Was master in sculpture. It's about modern contemporary art.
Okay.
And then all they learn about doing research, digging, thinking, it's lots of kind of the mindset of doing research, art as a research thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of influence in a sense where literally we do art and research thing. We're working with the science elements of folklore, but as well using as creative tool as well. So it's presented creatively, visually. So visual artists do visually, we do musically. So kind of.
And similarly, my degree is in geology, and so before becoming a musician, I was an environmental consultant in Toronto, and I would basically do a lot of historical research on the properties that I was working on.
So what drew both of you to music?
Well, I mean, music came to us.
It's Matti all that. Music. It's more my personal interest, just to feel happy and feel better as a human being. But Matti plays music since he's like a baby.
Yeah. So
is drawn to music. So for him, it's never been away.
So do you still sculpt? Do you still make art?
I teach.
You teach
ceramic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the show on the 7th sounds amazing. Do you bring any visual elements into the performance? Or?
We have lots of visual elements when we do our own videos.
Okay.
But this is next time I would like to have more visuality into our presentation.
For now, we're just
for
working
now
on
we
storytelling.
Storytelling at this moment. We have lots of storytelling for sure.
Okay, this is wonderful because as we've been talking about it, this music is so full of mythology and ancient wisdom, and because well, I'm going to get really pedantic here. There's a grace in the everyday, right? There's a grace in calling the cows. There's a grace in cutting the hay, because it's everyday life, and so the music has that grace in it because it's of a people.
And the people were very connected to the land. They asked the forest for hunting luck, asked the rivers for fishing luck, and had all these ways of making sure that the sun came up the next day and that the rye would grow as high as can.
And it always worked.
It always worked. Yeah.
Well, let's hear some more, shall we? What would you like to play? Like you surprised us by telling us what the songs were about after we've heard them. So, oh, that was a cow calling song. I didn't recognize it. So maybe explain what it is first.
We're going to sing a song from south of Lithuania. It's the imagery is the brother was sitting on the armchair and he had a wreath on his hands, and the sister telling him, "Hey, brother, the falcon, give me the wreath." And the brother replies to her, "My wreath was made in this Kaunas, it's a city in Lithuania. And he bought in Kaunas, and it was like collected and made it in Vilnius, is like Lithuanian capital. And he paid like 200. He was wrapped in the silk ribbons and put in this like beautiful chest, and then this what lock with the golden key, and then the sister telling him, "If you're not giving me with the goodwill, I'm gonna take it against your will."
Mm-hmm. And is there any reason why she called her brother the falcon?
We always call brother falcon, and the girls are the flowers. It's kind of way of nicely talking to the people here.
Very nice. And what was the title of that?
The title?
Yeah.
The brother has no title. It's just the beginning of the
first line,
The first
okay.
line. The brother was sitting on the armchair.
Okay, thank you. This has been an education to me. I am so excited by this music, and I'm really looking forward to this concert on the 7th at the Small Music Center on Shaw Street. Small World Music Center on Shaw Street, and tickets are available online and probably at the door. Right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. This has been live from Studio 2, and we've been talking with Honeypaw. Why don't you close us out with something?
Should we treat the literature say?
Or do you want to do
Shukla lune be,